Hey, this is Death Racer Chevy after a long hiatus, so I'm going to be showing you some gameplay of Friday the 13th. I'm going to make this my own little mini-series. I'm going to basically play as each one of the counselors and kind of give you a little bit of tips and tricks and show you how I play as each one of the counselors. So we'll be playing on Camp Crystal Lake Small, and I will be playing as Vanessa. Now, she is one of the earliest characters you can get without playing very far into the game. Now, she's a very speedy type of character, so she's more of a run away from the fight than stand and fight. Now, I tend to be a very proactive Vanessa. I tend to repair, even though her repair is very crappy. I do have a perk that's known as Tinker that allows my repair skill to go up a little, but it's still going to be a process. So if you have friends that want to play with you, which I definitely recommend, it's going to be a great game for friends to play. Somebody else could be a repair character that's better, so that way you guys can kind of teamwork it and survive the entire night. So basically, right now, looks like I'm spawning in the bathrooms of this map. Now, the easiest thing to do is obviously get into a cabin as quickly as possible and find anything you can in any of the drawers. Now, finding the map is really good, so that way I can see where I'm going. At this point, I have mostly memorized every single map, so I have an idea of what it is. Now, that right there is a really bad sign. That means Jason is now around me. You can hear that noise, and unfortunately, I spawned where the fuse box is. Now, my biggest advice is always make sure before you go into the cabin that is not one of the ones that has the fuse box. Unfortunately, this is the bathroom, so it's a little harder to see because you need to get back, because then Jason will be on you like flies to honey. Because basically they can see as a Jason where that phone box is, and they're going to zero in on it. So my character gave her position away, but thankfully I am a fast character, so I can just run the hell out of there and run to somebody else. That would be tip number 2, is to, if you can, it's kind of a douchey thing to do, but if it's at all possible, run to a cabin that has another counselor, so that way he is distracted by those other counselors and you can have another chance at escape. So on this map, there are 2 vehicles, one being a 4-door car and the other one being a 2-door, which means one has 4 seats, the other has 2 seats. Now, there are 7 of us in total, which means somebody is going to be SOL when it comes to getting out. Now, in order to leave in one of the vehicles, you need to find 3 things. You need to find a set of keys, you need to find gas, and you need to find a battery. They'll be scattered through all of the map, so check every corner. Normally, the gas is red, the battery will be black and yellow, so you can kind of have an idea. When I play, I tend to play as a party, and I didn't pick up that walkie-talkie simply because when I play as a party, we normally have our own group chat as a private chat, and I know a lot of people have reservations about playing that way because they consider it unfair to the other players. We don't actually disclose any other player locations that are not in the party, as far as, if one of us happens to be Jason and someone, is dead or what have you. Everybody's fair game, no preferential treatment. I just hate having to constantly mute people in the game lobby every single time. So it's just easier for me to play with a group of friends and for us to be able to talk and work together. Is it a little bit of a disadvantage? Maybe, but you can still talk in game, but Jason will hear you. So it's a downside to that. Now I see somebody has the gas can right across from me, but I also see the Jasons right there. So I'm going to try and hang low. You'll see potentially later on, if I do get too close to Jason and he starts to scare my character, the corners of the screen will start to get dark. Now, with that being the case, you'll see just a little sliver of that right now. Most characters, depending on what their stats are, that will happen slower or faster. With Vanessa, she has really crappy composure, so it happens really soon. So that right there, that is one of my friends, and they look like they may have something for the car. I'm running around to try and see if I can find anything else, since I didn't find anything of total use in that cabin. Normally here in the boathouse, there's always an item. So on this map near the boathouse, always check the boathouse. Right there near that desk, there's usually an item for either the car or the boat, if that's the case. If someone can find the fuse, that would be great too, because then I already know where it is. But it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to survive the night, the best way to do so is obviously to complete one of those objectives. Usually the easiest is to call the police, since that gives everyone the ability to escape. However, most of the time it ends up being the hardest. Even though you only have to find one item, you have to actually repair the phone box and you have to make the call. And depending on where that location is for that fuse box, Jason may be around it, people may be coming to it, and you may not be able to get the call off in time, and he may destroy it or what have you, and you may not even get it done, period. So when you start the game, make sure you have an idea of what you're trying to accomplish and do so. The one thing I do not recommend is do not just think that you can hide in the map for the full 20 minutes of the match and live. It has happened. I'm not saying that it doesn't. However, for the people that do die during the course of the game, you do get to spectate the other players. There is nothing worse than spectating a player that has been sitting in a closet for the last 10 minutes of the game, and there's still 10 minutes of the game to go. Try to move around and, work towards an objective so you can leave, because it just drags down the game for everybody else to see you hiding in a closet for 10 minutes, because Jason will eventually find you and you'll end up dead just like the rest of us. So I noticed back there that there was somebody by the fuse box, and I see that they're fixing it, but it doesn't show up on my map yet that they fixed it. But I know they're hanging around there, so I can only hope and assume that they're actually fixing it. Now that checklist you see, as things get done, it'll check itself off, so you can kind of have an idea of what's going on and what needs to be done. So here I'm going to know, because I know that the phone is in here, and I see that now it's able to be used, and I'm trying to get into it and I overshoot it for some reason. And this guy, he tried and then he didn't. Now I'm going to make the call. I like to make the calls for the cops because I have a perk that is known as my dad's a cop, so that way it allows the timer to be less. The standard timer is actually 5 minutes, but with my perk it puts it down to 4. So now you have to wait 4 minutes until the cops arrive. So what happens with the cops is once that timer counts down, you need to make your way to the bottom of the map or the top, depending on the map, where there's a long, thick road. Now, there's 2 exits, one of which will be the exit where the cops spawn, as you can see here on the map. Now, you won't know which is the correct exit until the timer is done. So my best advice is, depending on where you are on the map, try to make your way towards the exits as quickly and quietly as possible. Vanessa here is a very speedy character, so I can get there in no time. The only downside is she is very, very loud. You can hear her footsteps right now, just clanking and clocking all over the place, and it makes you more aware to Jason. So do it stealthy and do it fast. Try to stay in the middle. That's my personal favorite thing to do. So that way, if it's one side or the other, you're within a semi-equal distance and you can run your way to freedom. Because if you decide to choose a side and you go with the wrong side, you've got to run all the way across the road to the correct side. And sometimes, once the cops are called, most Jasons are already set in their mind that they're basically going to wait for you there. So they may, wait on the main road and just start hacking at people, or they wait until the exact moment when the timer has hit 0 and they immediately spawn to the exit that has the cops. So try to stay hidden and, keep the timer ringing. So I see someone repaired what looked like the other car here too, but we're still in the moment of 2 minutes left on the timer. And I see that the keys are up by one of the vehicles. So I'm going to make my way over there and see if I can get on the car. Sometimes I know there's only 2 minutes and you're thinking to yourself, why don't you just wait it out? Right now I'm kind of nervous because there's no Jason activity going on whatsoever, so I don't know where he is. I see that there's still quite a bit of us alive, which means either he's planning something or he's currently chasing people all around, which is never good because if I don't know where Jason is, I get kind of uneasy since I don't know what are safe zones and what are not. So now is the time. Now, normally you do have that stamina meter, as you can see on the right hand side. It's very important to keep an eye on that. You never want to obviously use all of that stamina in situations that don't call for it, simply because you never know when Jason will come to your area and you'll need that stamina to run. So try your best to sprint or just briskly jog
Oh my God.
refill
What
the
happened?
stamina. So obviously somebody got murdered here. Every time you do see a dead body, that is not a good thing. Yourself as a character will get scared, and then that closing in on you that I mentioned before will happen.
all
You can
set.
see a little bit of it
Time to
happen
get out
now.
of here.
And thankfully I got the car started. So, try your best to do this when Jason isn't around. I see that he's coming and I'm honking for this guy to get in the car, and oh my God, I feel so bad because I had to leave her because Jason is right behind her. If you can, try to go backwards and in reverse in the car rather than going forward. If you get too close to Jason, he will slam down on the car and it'll break, and basically you have to restart the car. And let me tell you, those precious seconds that you need to the car could be the meaning of you being alive and you being dead. So that little sound right there is that the cops are here, which means we now know where they are. So they're at the exit that is closest to us. Now I'm driving and now Jason is here and I'm just hitting it back in reverse. And try to take your time when it comes to driving the car. Don't try to be too overzealous and driving too fast, because if you crash into anything else, you can stop the car. Now, I like to do a little bit of off-roading. As you can see, there are these little trails here. So obviously, I've played this map enough that I know exactly how to do this. And try to be conventional, unconventional, I mean, with the car, simply because it makes it a little harder for the Jason to get near you and get you out. And he's getting pretty close right there. And then we go that way and off to freedom. So I see another guy went ahead and went to his freedom there. So now we're in the car and we all made it out alive and we escaped. Now that's not necessarily over. That Jason probably got shot. If you as Jason get too close to the exits, you will get shot by the cops. There still are other players alive, so whether you escaped or died, you will get to spectate other people. So someone came back as Tommy Jarvis, and I'll probably talk about him a little later in another video. And this is one of the newer characters known as Fox. She's a pretty good character. I like her. I play her when I'm not playing my main Vanessa, and she's obviously trying to get some points and smack this Jason around. And oh, here we go. One of those kind of Friday the 13th players that's teabagging the Jason. I try not to do that because, well, I don't want to press my luck and unfortunately get grabbed and killed by the Jason. So,
Fuck you.
It's up to you. If you feel your skill level is well enough, go ahead. And here they go again, doing it again. And here comes the Tommy, and Tommy just said, screw it, I'm leaving. I want to go. And here we go. Oh, and they're making it their way out. And that is game, set, match right there. Everybody has made it, and once you're done, you'll get the You Survived screen, and you'll get a little table showing all of your XP that you got. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this gave you a little bit more insight on generally how Vanessa gets played. I had a few close calls there, but you can get out of it very quickly with her if you know how to use her right. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Friday the 13th videos.